The NFL is really no better. They're doing their best, though. They're trying. The Atlanta Falcons announced today, rumors, multiple positive tests after one yesterday. We've got ourselves an outbreak. Oh, that's what we need a new sound, Coca, from your soundboard. Here's what it should be. Outbreak alert, outbreak alert, outbreak alert. OA. We have a new OA. And then we go into like a segue into which team it is. Well, now it's the Dolphins. Why is that in my head? Now it is the Falcons. Except then word came out, no, don't worry. The Falcons released a statement. It's just one person. Okay. Not a player. Oh, even better. That means it's an older coach or a support personnel. The game goes on. Of course the game goes on. The game always goes on. We could postpone to Monday, Tuesday. We don't want to lose week 18, add a week 18. We don't want to lose the week off between the championships and the Super Bowl. Roger Goodell said, but we're going to be very flexible. How come the NFL released a statement or an interview where both the NFL and the NFLPA both decided that while the NBA and NHL succeeded playing in a bubble, while MLB is in a postseason bubble, the NFL has no interest in a postseason bubble? I want to know why. I want to know why you think what the other sports did that has proven to work physically, you're not willing to do. Well, there's a chief medical officer for the NFL, and his name is Alan Sills. I'm not going to impugn Alan Sills' judgment or his qualifications to be a chief medical officer. What I am going to say is that he is resting on one fact and one fact only, and that is the mental toll that the bubble has on players. He said specifically that the emotional toll of isolating players during the playoffs and around the holidays is a greater health threat than that presented by coronavirus. And that the mental health of the players is just as much of a health and safety concern as a COVID-19 infection. You know how open and transparent I have been on this show about mental health. You know how important it is to me. You know how I feel when a player like a Paul George or a player like a Dak Prescott or any player like the baseball player who came out to talk about mental health. I'm having a moment, Coca. I'm having an unbelievable moment right here. He wrote an entire article, and he's a really good baseball player. I can't believe this, Coca. I'm so annoyed at myself right now. Talking about his struggles with mental health, and it's not Zach Greinke who has social anxiety disorder. It's somebody else, Coca. We'll cover it on tomorrow's show if you don't find it right now. If you could find it, that'd be great. So I am all in favor of taking care of people's mental health. You know that. How come NBA players were willing, and NHL players and MLB players? They were willing because they realized that the best way to get to the end of a season and the best way to crown a champion was to make a personal sacrifice, and that it is incumbent upon the league and the member teams to provide as much mental health counseling, to provide as much support as possible in order to make it livable. I'm not saying it's ideal. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying it's not difficult. Excuse me. What I am saying is that when you have an unknown like COVID, and you've got hundreds of millions of dollars at stake, your job is to get the games in as safe a way as possible from a physical standpoint, from a virus standpoint, and you make whatever adjustments you have to make to take care of any mental issues that could come up. You're telling me that people get depressed if they're going to be in a bubble on Christmas? or for the new year? Are there players who want their families there? Are there players who don't want their families there? Are there players who want the ability to stay in a suite? Or are there players who want the ability to have the comforts of home in their room? Are there ways that the NBA tried to make the bubble in Orlando feel like home by bringing in chefs and barbers and games and all sorts of things that players definitely got sick of as time passed? Danny Green said today that one of his first thoughts after winning the NBA championship was not that he was a champion again. It's that he got to leave the bubble. I get that. But they were there for 3 months. How long would NFL players be in a bubble in the postseason, Coca? For the Super Bowl champion, game 1 of the playoffs, let's just pretend it's January 5th. And let's pretend the Super Bowl is February 5th. Those are round numbers. It's about right. The 2 teams who make it all the way will be in there for a total of a month. In the NBA, the 2 teams who made it to the end, the Lakers and the Heat, were there for 96 days. It's not even close. What about MLB? Coca's telling me it's January 9th to February 7th. That's not even a month. MLB's bubbling right now in Texas and in California. The total playoffs last from September 29th, where you weren't bubbled in the first wildcard series, and the World Series will end at the latest October 28th. That's exactly what the NFL postseason bubble would be. Yet the NFL Players Association executive and the NFL executive, Troy Vincent, said when asked about a playoff bubble, we're proceeding as is. It's not going to happen. So I'm upset about all this happening. But then came the quote that made me the craziest. We don't feel that is the safest course of action for us. Talking about a bubble. I don't know how you say it. I don't know how you say that with a straight face. I'm not going to make it a wait to see, but I'll tell you right now, the NFL playing in a bubble is not a out of the question scenario. If they continue to have outbreaks and it's not just a one-off test by the Falcons, or if they've got any sort of situation where they're postponing more games or more teams are having multiple positive tests, they will have no choice but to figure out how to do an MLB style bubble. They're not going to create a campus. It will be an MLB style bubble. And they're going to have to really plan that. And if the NFL is so full of hubris that they're not, they're making a huge mistake. And what's ironic about a mistake like that is that the NFL is so uber focused on business. The NFL is so interested. You saw this throughout the pandemic, that they were focused on changing nothing, putting their head in the sand, putting their thumbs in their mouth and saying, we're the NFL. We're untouchable. It's not going to happen to us. And we spend time on Nothing Personal saying the opposite. It's impossible that it won't happen to you. Now the season has started, and it is clear as the sun set following a sunrise that positive tests within the NFL ecosystem are a guarantee, and they're not stopping anytime soon. And for the NFL not to realize that they have to protect their postseason, it's impossible. They are the king of what we know to be true here on Nothing Personal. They are going to have to speak to their union and their chief medical officer, and they're going to have to start making plans, because out of every league, they know when it comes to the NFL playoffs, you're damn right. It's just business. It's Nothing Personal.